Every morning, without a thought, you reach for a cup, a pen, or your phone. Your brain gives the command. Your arm moves, and one hand takes the lead. It feels simple, automatic, but that tiny choice connects you to every human who ever lived. Long before language, before cities and civilizations, our ancestors, Homo habilis, picked up a stone and made the first tool. That moment, that single movement, sparked a chain that still guides us today. This isn't just a story about hands. It's a story about evolution, about how our minds shaped our world, and how one ancient habit became the signature of our species. Tonight, we'll journey through time from the first spark of skill to the deep rhythms of the human brain to uncover one of evolution's greatest mysteries. Why do we favor the right hand? Imagine this. The first light of dawn slipping into your room. You reach out, fingers wrapping around that first cup of the day. Simple, effortless. Yet hidden in that motion is a story that began over 1 million years ago, right here in the land we now call home. Not in Africa, but across the ancient plains of South Asia, where the early humans, known as Homo habilis, once walked. They lived by the rivers, beneath vast skies, and in the shadow of stony hills that still stand today. They hunted with sharp flakes of rock, scraped hides clean, and shaped their survival with bare hands. They had no words, no written language, but their hands spoke for them. Every strike, every motion was a silent whisper from deep time. When scientists studied their fossilized teeth, they discovered something extraordinary. Tiny scratches, angled all the same way, from upper left to lower right. These marks weren't random. They were evidenced a frozen memory of movement, proof that Homo habilis preferred the right hand. The roots of our right-handed world stretch back to those very people who lived, worked, and dreamed on the same soil beneath our feet today. They didn't yet control fire. They hadn't built tools of metal, but in their minds, a pattern had begun. A subtle dominance of one hand over the other. That single preference, born in the age of stone, would someday shape the tools, the weapons, and the civilizations to come. The sun blazes over the ancient plains of the Indus Valley. A dry wind moves across the stone hills, and amid that heat, an early human Homo habilis works with quiet focus. One hand pulls a hide tight, the other chips away with a flint tool. To him, it's just another day. To history, it's a silent revolution. Over time, his very body began to change. The bones of his right arm grew thicker, denser, shaped by years of striking, cutting, and crafting. Each motion left a physical memory, tiny stresses that, over decades, forged strength into the bone itself. Modern scientists call this Wolff's Law, the idea that bone grows stronger where stress is greatest. In the fossils of these early humans, the same pattern appears again and again. The right arm, powerful and dense. The left, lighter and less worn. These bones tell a story that words cannot. A story of repetition, of endurance, of a species learning to shape its world with one dominant hand. They lived in a time before fire truly served man. Before shelters or speech, yet their hands were already carving the path toward every tool, every weapon, every creation to come. Inside the fossilized bones of Homo habilis lies the proof that even before civilization, our very skeletons carried the memory of which hand would rule the future. In the ancient caves of Baluchistan, the walls are silent, witnesses to a forgotten dawn. A Homo habilis sits near the entrance, a rough stone turning slowly in his hand. He studies its edges with intent, as though trying to unlock its secret. Then, with another rock, he strikes it. A spark leaps as sharp edge forms where once there was none. He doesn't smile, but something inside him changes. For the first time, a creature has reshaped nature to its will. That moment marked the birth of thought. The hand and the mind began their eternal dance. Each strike of stone echoed not just in sound, but in the neural patterns of the brain itself, wiring the foundations of intelligence. These tools were not just for hunting or cutting, they were extensions of imagination. Physical proof that ideas could shape reality. When he showed the tool to others, some watched, some mimicked, and a few succeeded. Without language, without writing, knowledge began to spread, passed through sight, sound, and imitation. It was then that the spark of the human mind ignited a spark that would one day build cities, craft, art, and reach the stars from a chipped stone in a cave. The story of creation had begun. Around the caves of Enel, the small group has grown. 10, maybe 12. Homo habilis, men, women, and children. By day, they hunt and gather. By dusk, they return to the same shelter together. One evening, a young hunter spots a wounded deer. He gestures. A quick wave of the arm, a glance to the left. No words, but meaning flows clear. Another responds, nodding silently. In moments, they move in unison, circling the prey, waiting, then striking as one. The deer falls. No cheers, no shouts, just a deep, shared silence, a language older than speech itself. Later, as the fire glows faintly, they divide the meat. One cracks bones from marrow, another sharpens tools. A mother keeps the young away from danger. No one commands. No one resists. Instinct binds them. This was the birth of social awareness, the realization that unity means survival. Their gestures became signals. Their voices began to carry tone. And in that flickering light, the first echoes of true communication began to stir within them. The beginning of what would one day be called language. Time moved on. The valleys of Enel, once alive with the footsteps of Homo habilis, now lie still beneath the whispering winds. Yet in the dust and stone, their legacy remains the mark of the first hands that dared to create. But Earth never stops, and in the turning of ages, a new being emerged, Homo erectus, taller, stronger, and wiser. When he struck stone against stone, a spark leapt. Then fire. For the first time in history, a creature had summoned light from darkness. It was more than warmth. It was mastery, a symbol that man could now shape not only tools, but the forces of nature itself. Fire became safety, a hearth, a gathering place for thought. The shadows of fear retreated, and curiosity took their place. From those flames, civilization was born. The hands that once trembled in the dark now built shelter, crafted weapons, and reached toward the stars. Homo habilis was gone, yet he lived on in every mind, every spark, every act of creation. And so, from stone to fire, from silence to speech, from instinct to imagination, the story of mankind began.